All right, so we're starting a new series today. Welcome, everyone. The focus is outreach, event promotion, and follow-up. And this is a three-part webinar series planned that ties together a few of the things we've been talking about since we started these webinars earlier this year. I think it was maybe in June, I think we started these webinars. So we thought this might be a timely topic to address this time of year, because sometimes churches plan something special in the way of an outreach event during the month of December. And then whenever you have people come to some special outreach event, what what everybody knows I think they should do is they should have a plan to follow up. And then you follow up and you can invite them to something else, invite them to worship services, invite them to come back. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I think all of you are here so far, have been here before. So I think you know that we're focusing on equipping you not with novelties or fads, but with proven methods of outreach you can use to bring the work of the church before the people of your community. So advertising, publishing newsletters, organizing and promoting events, and then distributing sermons and teaching. So this series really focuses on this third one: organizing and promoting public meetings, seminars, and conferences. So you could use this today for meetings, for seminars, for conferences, for Thanksgiving feast, a Christmas Eve service. I know there's all kinds of lessons and carols service, a concert, all kinds of different things that I've seen churches do. So, but before we get into that, I want to make sure you know that you are invited to apply to the Church Outreach Incubator. So I want to take a few minutes to talk again about what this is. We're going to kind of focus on this word incubator for a few minutes. And I did a little search for images about incubator, and there was interesting just to see the photos that came up. So this is a photo. It looks like it's staged, but it's basically some guys in a business incubator. So there's, in the entrepreneurship world, there are these things called accelerators and incubators. So an incubator is a program, a service that an early stage business can participate in, which provides them with extra support, extra connections, extra relationships, teaching, training, sometimes can connect them with grant money, that sort of thing, to help an early stage business in a kind of newborn and vulnerable state to actually get on its feet and become a healthy business. So that's one of the connotations of the word incubator. Another one is, of course, from the world of agriculture, and we have a chicken coop. We have a chicken coop this year, and so we were waiting for our chickens to start laying eggs any day now. And of course, we found out that one of the 9 or one of the 10 was a rooster. So we just today got rid of the rooster, handed off the rooster to somebody else. So we're actually not hoping to have little chicks, little baby hens or whatever, in our little chicken coop. But this is another example of an incubator. An incubator kind of helps something that's newborn, something that just needs some extra support, nurture, to be in a protected and environment where maybe there's some extra warmth, there's protection from predators, there's protection from the, you know, the elements and so forth, so that the baby animal or the baby plant can grow, right? But just one more example of an incubator. A greenhouse, I guess, is a type of incubator. And I guess from what I understand, there's different ways that greenhouses are used. But one of the ways in which they're used is a plant will start in the greenhouse while it's young, but then once it is healthy, growing, and mature, it is taken out of the greenhouse. I think the process is called hardening or something like that, so that then it can actually continue to be healthy and grow and flourish in a more dynamic and challenging environment. So that is, we've put a little bit of thought into what we should call this thing we call the Church Outreach Incubator. And those are some of the connotations that it has. How it works is that there's 3 phases to it. It's designed as a 12 to 15 month service. During phase 1, 5 More Talents builds your church a customized outreach system, which includes includes online advertising, local SEO, email newsletters, and search optimized sermon publishing. Phase 1 is focused on 5 More Talents building a system that that you can use in the outreach of your church. Phase 2 is focused on training. And this is where 5 More Talents, we as a team train people from your church to operate every part of the outreach system. Because like actually each of those 3 photos I showed, the goal is that in the case of the business eventually exits the incubator and is able to be on its own. In the case of the baby chicken, it's able to exit the incubator and flourish as a full-grown hen or rooster. And then in the case of a plant, it's able to exit the greenhouse and then be healthy in the external challenging environment. So the final phase is like the baton handoff, where the system has been developed. Multiple people from your church have received training, and then phase 3 is a few months of coaching, where we're there to jump in and help and address whatever additional questions you need in order to really take ownership of the whole system for yourself, ranging from sermon publishing to email newsletters to online advertising. And so those of you who like math will probably appreciate this and really like this image that I came up with, or diagram. Those of you who do not like math probably will not like this. It's the incubator is based off of the assumption that that outreach and evangelism working together, there's a multiplying effect. So it's not outreach plus evangelism, but outreach times evangelism, right? There is those 2 activities and ministries are complementary, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Similarly, right, S stands for sermon publishing, E stands for events, A stands for advertising, N stands for newsletters, all right? So when you put these together, there's a multiplying effect. It's not just S plus E plus, it's not just sermon publishing plus events plus advertising plus newsletters. It's actually, by putting all those pieces together, you get, and it's actually, what does this spell? Sean. So I was thinking we actually need to come up with a mascot. So maybe in a future week, we'll have a mascot, Sean, who can sort of illustrate this concept, that when you put these different pieces together, you actually get something that is greater than the sum of the parts. There's a multiplying effect that you get from getting all these components together. So if you have not applied yet, we have had 3 people to apply to the incubator in the past few weeks. I would encourage you to consider applying. I will put a link here in the chat. You can just go to the website as well, 5moretalents.com, and click on the tab that says Church Outreach Services. It'll take you to this also. But just as a bonus, if you apply by November 16, which is coming up, I think next week. I think it's like next Friday, maybe next Saturday. If you apply by next Saturday, then we will send you for free a resource kit that consists of 3 resources. The first one here is the Christianity Explored Leaders Kit. More on that in a minute. Second one is the book From Embers to a Flame by Harry L. Reeder III, called Home to Glory a couple of years ago, or a year ago. And third one, favorite devotional of my wife Rebecca and I, Checkbook of the Bank of Faith by Spurgeon, which consists of one of God's promises each day. It's wonderful. So if you apply by next Saturday, then we'll be happy to send you in the mail a real box with these real resources, which is kind of fun. Like in these days of like, you know, cyber digital stuff, it is really fun to actually get something in the mail, I think.
Well, today I'm going to eat lunch with Emma at her school, and then I'm going to watch her. She's got a
okay. All right. So just a little bit more on Christianity Explored, just very briefly, because next week we're going to have a special guest, a representative from Christianity Explored North America, just to take 15 minutes, like what I'm doing right now, just to talk about Christianity Explored and what it is. Michael Horton is a name you may know and respect. He says Christianity Explored is the best supporting resource I know of for helping us get the gospel out. And basically it's structured around a study of a Bible study of the Gospel of Mark, and focusing on who Jesus is, his identity, what Jesus came to do, his mission, and then the response that he calls us to. So the call, and it just walks through over the course of 7 or 8 weeks. It walks through the Gospel of Mark. There's video lessons. Many churches or groups incorporate meals, which is always great in this day and age, to just get people together, sitting around the table, eat a meal together, talk about life. And then there's this Bible study that is very accessible for people who may have never opened the Bible before, or maybe it's been a while. So that's what that is, if you haven't heard of that before. And I just wanted to take a few minutes on that, because next week we're going to have in the webinar, we're going to have a representative from Christianity Explored to talk a little bit more about it and answer any questions you might have. All right, so that brings us to our topic today, which is outreach event promotion and follow-up. So in a moment, I'm going to hand it over to Donnie, one of our team members, and he's going to demonstrate this. But I just want to kind of give a 30,000-foot view of just one example scenario in which you could use this very nuts and bolts training we're about to do. So the scenario that we're thinking about is during the month of November, your church could plan an outreach event in December. Maybe it's a concert or a Christmas Eve service or lessons and carols, or I don't know. I mean, you might look at some of the things in those lists and be like, we would never do that. That's a horrible idea. Or you might be like, yeah, like every church should do that. That's not the point. The point is, you know, a lot of times churches will think about something that they can do that is special, that is um, particularly outreach minded in a special way. And so what we're going to walk you through starting today and over the next couple of weeks is promoting that outreach event, and then setting yourselves up so that perhaps, as an example, starting in January, you could follow up to everyone who attended that December outreach event, and perhaps, you know, of course, invite them to worship services, or perhaps invite them to something like Christianity Explored course as well. So again, lots of ways you could use this, but that's just one concrete scenario that you could use this information today. So I think I'm going to hand it over to Donnie. Are you ready, Donnie?
Yes. So,
all right. So I'm going to go ahead and let Donnie share his screen. And as he goes, just go ahead and start typing your questions into chat, and maybe we'll hold them to the end, or maybe we'll kind of interrupt from time to time, but I'm going to go on mute and hand it over and let Donnie take it away.
all right. So I'm going to show an example of hands-on, the technical back end of how you would build a page for this outreach if you wanted to set up an event or registration for, as an example, caroling and Christmas service or Thanksgiving or whatever you're doing an outreach for. So here on the WordPress backend, when you're logged in as the admin, here we have how do you create a page. You can either on the pages selection, you can do add new page, or you can just hover it and choose the add new page. And then whenever you create a new page, the first thing you should do is a title so that you can label it. So if this was the event registration, or the whatever you would call it, but the better you have a name, you know, the better you can identify what it is and you can find it. And also we'd like to set up a featured image, something that goes on this page. So we click on the right here, featured images. And you can upload one of your own if you have a file, or already choose one that's on your site. If it's outreach or gathering or Bible or something relevant, the better. Now you won't see it on this backend site immediately, but if you preview it, depending on your template, that's where you can see your image. So, and then you'll want to have some description. Usually it's good to have like a subtitle, because you won't want to put all the information on your main title. I should note the main title is your URL, but if you ever want to change that to be something simpler or something that's important, or you were just making it short for something, you could, like outreach. That's how you would change it. But now if we want to say this is for Christmas on December 24th, come see this event and register. That's something you put as your second heading, and you want to change this to make it the second heading. First heading is usually reserved for the title of the page, and you only want one of those, so you'd use the second heading. And then you can add more details on the page, whatever information that needs to be there, like paragraphs of a little information, or even images. If you're hosting a webinar, it's nice to put a face of the person who's hosting it. And then you want people to sign up for it. So that is where you would want to create a form. This is where it gets a little bit trickier. So once the page is saved, we use Gravity forms typically on our sites. So back in the admin, here on the left are forms, and this is a plugin, Gravity Forms. That's where you can click here, forms, create a new form. And then they have these templates that you can choose from that will quicken the pace of building it out for you. You can preview it to make sure it's actually what you would like it to look like. The fields are what we are looking at here. So comments, first name, last name. What kind of data do you need for them to fill out? They've got lots of them here. Like here's a webinar registration form with a lot more information and user registration form. So maybe those would be useful for you. This one's got password, so probably not. But I'll just choose the simple contact form for now. You're gonna want a title so that you know this is my registration demo example. The description, you can either have that shown on the page, or it's just for you in the back end to read. So then I click great. Now I have this form being built. Again, the first name, last name is what they started with. When you click on the fields, you can see that this is the options. This is drag, so you can move it to a different location. You can put it on the same line as some things to share it side by side. And then you also have the settings on the right side here. And you can throw it in the trash bin to delete it. So here you could change it. I only want the last names. I want the first names or a middle as well. That's where you can toggle these. And whatever you're going to do, it's going to diverge quite a bit here for your customization. So you can click around and see what settings they have, as well as adding more fields. So if you would like to add more fields, they're here on the right. You click off on the white space, you can see them. That's where you can pull in paragraphs if you want comments, open-ended paragraphs for them to respond with, or single lines if you want to know what's your position, what's your title, what church do you go to, what city. There's also locations and dates, lots of different options for you to put in, and you can capture those when people fill out the form. Also note that there are required sections and unrequired. Let's say we don't want comments, or at least we don't want comments required. We can check this and then they don't fill it out, or you can throw it in the trash bin to get rid of it because you don't need that for this registration. And then you can save the form when you're done. And then that will be the fields that are listed. And the back end here, when you look at your form, there's confirmations when you click on this. So we're still looking at my form registration demo form. But in the confirmation section, this is their default one. This is the pop-up message that shows up once you fill out the form and click submit or send. Then this will be the text that replaces those fields. And you can write whatever you would like to write. Like, thank you for submitting it. It's typically what people say. And you can also have it forward to a page. So if it was a book club or something that people are signing up for and showing interest, then you could send them to a page of more opportunities at your church, or you can redirect them to a whole nother site. So if it was like for a bigger organization of your denomination, you could have them fill out there, and then you could redirect them to that other denomination site, and such. And then make sure you save when you're done. Notifications, these are the emails that go out after a form is filled out. So the default one is typically an admin notification, such as emailing one of you or whoever you want to be notified, because you should keep track of who fills out your forms in case you have to reach out to them, and or you're knowing how many slots are taken. So that is where you would fill this in here. You would put in your own personal email or whoever is supposed to receive them. And then, so if I was myself here, I just put in my own email. And then the name, this is just an email. You could say like, this is the website, sending a form completion or submission. And then from email, you typically will use the website. So you could be like, no reply to at the domain.com. That's the one I'm using right now. And you would use whatever your domain is of your site. Reply to, there is no reply, again, same, because this is an automated email that shouldn't be replied to. It's just a notification. And then this is already pre-filled in. There's a new submission from, and then here on the right, there's these curly braces, and you can insert the fields or the value of those fields in here automatically. So I could put in first name, and then it'll say new submission from, and then it'll put the first name, whatever they put in there. And then In the fields, this is automatically, this will be the body of the email, just all the fields. You don't usually have to do anything, but if you'd like, you can add more context to that. In case you have a lot of these forms and you need to know what page it was on and who was doing it. So then that you would click update to save it. A note on the notifications, typically there's this user notification and people would like to send an email to the person who just filled out the form. So the admin goes to you so that you know somebody filled out the form, and then you can create a user notification that goes out to the person who filled out the form so that they can get notice that, oh, it worked, they received it, they know I'm there. Or now I have an email to remind myself of the date, things like that. So those are the settings there. Now the last component of this is we just built that form, and now we'd want to find our page that we created this on, and then we're going to want to my event registration form. When we click edit on there, we go back to the page. Here, just like I said, when we add paragraphs, headings, we go into here, click, you can search for form, and then there's that little, like, that's supposed to be a G icon there, gravity form. There's form. And then on the drop down, I just built this one. So you can click, select it, and then it'll bring in the fields and display there. So then you can save this as a draft. And if you are ready to publish, which to go live and be visible to other people, click publish, which I will do now so that I can show you how to, here's the page. And there's the fields. And now, if we wanted to make this page more prominent, we could add it to the top here, navigation. Or you could add it to the footer navigation or whatever navigation you'd like, or on the home page. So here on the left side of the admin tool again, there are appearance and menus. Menu stands for the navigation menus. And then here, this header menu is the only menu that we have on the site. That's where you can see most recent pages. You check this box. That's the one I worked on. That's the title. You add the menu, it'll add it to the bottom. This is a very long header. Typically, they're not this long. But that's where you can grab this and you can drag this up to a different position. So this will be at the beginning. No, this will be the very first position up here, right before the welcome. Or if you want, you can nest it underneath one of these, so it's underneath the drop down of welcome. Then if I was to save this, now there's my event registration. So in just the same way, I could pull it out on top, save it, and now it's in the front. So I think that covered everything with the event. Of course, the more customization you want to do and make it your own event, you'd add paragraphs, pictures, anything else that's more information and attention grabbing and for people to want to come to the event.
Great work, Donnie. Thank you for doing that. Now we have time for questions, and we'll do our best to provide answers. So if you have a question, put it in the chat, or you're going to unmute yourself. All right. So let me just add on a few other little things related to this. So first I'm going to put in the chat window a link to the scribe guides for what Donnie's just demonstrated. So that first link in the chat window will take you to this page, which walks you through how to do each of those steps, creating a new page on the site, adding a hero image or a featured image, adding the event details, creating an event registration form, and then adding that new page to the menu. So as you can see, it's a relatively simple process. The part that has the most complexity to it is just creating the forms, but I'm really glad that Donnie pointed out the templates that are available that can give you a jump start in that. Other thing I want to point out is that there are, and we did this a few months ago, but log into your site, you should see something that says video tutorials. So there are video tutorials on how to create pages, right? So that will give you some more details on how to create pages. There's this whole section on text blocks, right? There's all kinds of different things that you can explore about different types of text blocks you can add, different types of media blocks, images, audio, video, design blocks such as rows and columns, and then block patterns, which are basically kind of pre-made templates for a whole page or for part of a page. So let me just give you an idea of where you can find patterns. It's definitely worth knowing about, and it can be a time saver when you're creating a page like this. So if you're creating one of these pages, then if you want to see if there's a pattern that's available, you click this plus sign, and then there's a whole section called patterns. And you can just view all of it. Give it a minute. Let's do a smaller. There we go. I was being impatient. That's why. All right. So you can see, like, here's an example of a pattern that has, has like a 2-column layout with a button and an image. That saved you a bunch of time, right? And then you have, this really interesting looking page in just a few seconds. So you can look under patterns for that. That's just built into WordPress, and whatever theme that you're using, whatever template starter site that your website is built off of, those will be there. In addition, if you are using the Goodwin or Machen website based off of those are some of the newer starter sites and templates that we have available. Then there are some additional options for starter templates. So there's actually this thing called the design library. So they have a whole section of patterns. Let's give it a moment to load. Let's see. I don't know why it's kind of slow, but basically the idea is that you have preset patterns that you can browse through, and if you see something that looks good, then you can just click on it, and if you have a little bit of patience, it'll put it on your page. And again, just like you don't have to reinvent the wheel with the design. You can just start with one of these patterns and create something that looks really cool in a shorter period of time. So definitely want to make sure you're aware of those patterns that are available, and then also of the training, right? Video tutorials. All right. Any other questions today? Feel free to put something in chat or unmute yourself. All right. So today was relatively straightforward. Next time we're going to return to the topic of things you can do with social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to walk through different ways that you can use Facebook and Instagram to promote an outreach event. So we're going to be looking at a variety of topics, such as once you have a page like this that Donnie showed you how to build, then what are some things that you can do to we're actually going to look at how you can use generative AI to kind of take a page that you've already built and then brainstorm a sequence of posts that you can then put on social media. We're also next week going to look at creating images to go with your social media posts, and then how you can schedule posts with the Meta Business Suite. So you can basically just build your page. You can put maybe like 7 different social media posts to go out over the next 2 or 3 weeks. You can set it and forget it. It's a big time saver. And then we'll also look at how you can boost an individual Facebook post to get it out to a wider audience in your community. So make sure to come back for that next time. And then at the beginning of next week's webinar, we do plan to have a special guest from Christianity Explored North America to provide a little bit more detail on their resources for outreach and evangelism, as well as to be able to answer questions you might have. So that's all I've got for today. I really thank you all for coming, and just have one other thing I want to put in there before I forget. I almost forgot. So there is a discount code that we Christianity Explored has made available if you want to buy some of their materials. That's posted there in the chat. Also, there's a free 20-minute training session that I found, a YouTube video that is, if you're intrigued by the little 2 minutes I did earlier in the webinar, take a look at that YouTube video. The presenter, Rico Tice, goes into more detail on what Christianity Explored covers, how the Bible study goes through the Gospel of Mark. And then, of course, there's the invitation to apply to the Church Outreach Incubator. And one thing I forgot to say is that we can only handle 6 people in the incubator, 6 churches, I should say, in the incubator in 2025, and we've already had 3 apply, talking with others. So definitely want to encourage you to go ahead and apply if you have any level of interest in learning more about the incubator. It doesn't commit you to sign up for it or pay a dime. It's just a way to indicate your interest. So if you have an interest, an inkling that you might want to
I think Daniel froze there.
Did Daniel just freeze? Okay, yeah. He froze to me too.
They lost internet, so.
Whoops.
But I believe he was just closing it out there. So he's saying apply, show interest, because it is limited seating, and they have a few people already. And it doesn't cost anything. So, all right.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Oh.
You too.